Low volume, high intent is the era right now where if somebody has actually searched for you and then came to your website, the intent is historically high. They've already done the research. It's almost like they have gone through the stage 1 of your funnel. And now your website needs to really help them go through stage 2 and stage 3 of the funnel, which is the middle of funnel and bottom of funnel. Right.
Hello and welcome to the award-winning Health Tech Marketing Show. I'm your host, Adam Chirinas. I'm the CEO of Health Launchpad. We're one of the presenting sponsors of this show. As always, a huge thank you to you for listening. And if you haven't already done so, please do hit the follow or subscribe button on whatever app you're using. And it'll give you access to our upcoming episodes. We do one a week. Plus, you also get access to our library of 130 episodes on all things health tech marketing. And a big thank you to our friends at Healthcare Now Radio, the 24/7 healthcare-only online radio network. And they also have the most marvelous podcast syndication service. Roberta and Carol, thank you for all your support. You've been amazing. And everything that you do has gone a long way to making sure that this podcast reaches hundreds more people. And we're really grateful to you for that. Now, I've got a question for you. Like many of your peers, are you kept awake at night wondering where all your traffic has gone? All your website traffic? I know I certainly have been. Well, at least I was last year. We've certainly done some things in the last year that have fixed it, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on. The answer, it turns out, is quite interesting, is it actually may not be a problem. It's actually maybe more of a signal. Your buyers haven't stopped doing research. They've just moved where they do the research somewhere else. They've moved it to, guess where? ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Perplexity, and all those sort of LLMs, right? What that means is by the time they show up at your website, they may already have put you on the shortlist, and they're not really browsing at that point. They're actually coming to your website for validation. And we're certainly seeing that in the way that our website is converting. And so today's guest is someone who is deeply immersed in this. I'm going to introduce you shortly to somebody I've got to know really well over the last year, Suyog Deshpande. And Suyog is the co-founder of an extremely cool company called Webless AI. And they are rethinking what a website actually is for in the age of AI. And full disclosure, we use Webless on healthlaunchpad.com. And it's genuinely one of the coolest things we've implemented in the last year. We're really delighted with it. And today, we're going to get into what Suyog calls the low volume, high intent era. So why declining traffic can actually mean your pipeline is healthier than ever. And also how AI search engines are becoming the new top of funnel, and what that means in terms of optimizing for the answer engines instead of just the search engines. So with that, let's go meet Suyog, shall we? So Suyog, I am so pleased to have you on the show. You and I have known each other for about a year, sort of connected by the amazing Drew Neisser, who I am just such a fanboy of that man. And for anybody who's in B2B marketing, if you don't know Drew Neisser, you're just not following the right people. But you're going to tell everybody a little bit about what you guys do at Webless AI. But when I heard about it, I said, I have got to meet you. And we've been trialing your solution, and it's kind of flipping cool. So Suyog, I can't do justice to it. Tell everybody about what you guys do, and then we're going to get into what is probably the number one topic in my community.
Absolutely, and great to be here. So Webless, as the name says, is a company that's building products to imagine a future where the future will be website-less future, where either a human or an agent that's interacting with business will be interacting in a new front door. If you see currently the most important digital real estate that a company has, and that can be a healthcare SaaS company, that can be a hospital, a provider, a payer, whatnot, the most important digital real estate that they have is their website. Unfortunately, for the last 20, 25 years, the websites that have been built were built primarily to serve Google's SERP algorithm. What that means is the entire focus was on building more content, was on keyword stuffing, was on ensuring that you're writing content to cater to a particular search keyword. And so accordingly, if you see the way websites have been in the last 20, 25 years for these companies, is it's full of content. It's full of great content. It's full of outdated content. It's full of multimodal content where you have like videos, you have demos, and then you have PDFs and data sheets and policy documents and blogs and articles and everything. And all of that is getting published on your website. Now, that works well in the search engine, I would say 1.0 era, and that worked well. But if you put yourself in the shoes of a visitor on your website, the problem actually starts to become really, really critical as more and more content gets published, because finding content is what becomes a challenge, not having content. And I have seen this in healthcare quite a lot, where if we see content creation is no longer a problem, content discovery is what's becoming the problem. So the very
Content discovery is
content discovery
Okay.
is the problem.
We're going to go deep on this topic. But before we go there, so you started with a premise, which I was first exposed to when I went to the AI marketing conference, MakeOn, back in October, which blew my flipping mind. But here was the premise of it is like, well, websites are going to go away. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So for a lot of people out there, they're going to be, what? Websites are going to go away? Well, what's going to happen? How are people going to find our stuff? Why are websites going to go away?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you see website, right, the way we have come to know a website is there's a long workflow associated with getting an idea to be rolled out on a website. You have to write the content, you have to polish the content, you have to design things around that content. Then you have to put that in a CMS publishing flow. Somebody reviews it. You do multiple iterations on that CMS publishing flow. Finally, it gets live. Then you put keywords, then you add more campaigns around it, etc., etc. When we think about how people are doing their search right now, this is exactly the inverse of what people are looking for. People are looking for instant answers. People are looking for getting value and understanding what the business does quickly. They're no longer looking for the most interactive content on the internet. They're no longer looking for the fancy websites. In fact, I have this campaign where I'm talking about the vanity metric that a lot of websites measure, which is the amount of time somebody spent on your website. You're not Netflix. People shouldn't be binge watching your website, right? And so this metric about how much time people spent on the website, while it can be useful to know when they were actually going through a journey. But most of the time, if you just do a screen recording or figure out how people navigated the website, you will realize 90% of the time that they spent on the website is just struggling to find information.
Yeah, or they just left the browser open and they went and had dinner.
Exactly.
But wait a sec. So, all right. So the people who are listening to this show, both of you, are in the business of helping their clients, their companies rather, sell technology to healthcare buyers. And so these healthcare buyers will go off and do research. And the website, the company's websites, is a destination for doing research. What you've described is the things, not only are they not going to come to the company's website, they're not going to go to the analyst's website, they're not going to go to the media company's websites. Where are they going to go?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the keyword that you used there, which was help, right? And let's hone in on that to help the healthcare buyers do the right, get the right information, do their research, etc. Now, what was happening is, if you look at the websites and the way they were constructed, they were primarily focused on converting a top of funnel buyer into a middle of funnel buyer. That is why you had a lot of this awareness to knowledge gathering to education sort of focus on the website. Now what's happening is a lot of these buyers are actually going on a third-party AI search engine. Example here is Gemini, Perplexity, ChatGPT, Claude. They're getting all that information and their research done somewhere outside the first-party information that you have. So they are actually getting a lot of the top of funnel awareness information outside your property that you own. Now, when they come to the website, they're not coming primarily for research. They're coming to find a shortest path to getting answers, to understanding what your company does after they have shortlisted you, right? If somebody has actually looked at Gemini and then they're coming to your website, congrats. Like you are one of the shortlisted vendors probably. And so the interesting era that we are living in right now is a low traffic, high intent era.
Low traffic, high intent. All right.
Yeah.
Unpick that. That's interesting.
Yeah. If you see, right, like the website traffic across every single customer that I'm talking to, they're talking about this is the website traffic is dropping. Now, that problem can be solved in two ways. Number one, how do we increase the traffic? That's an important problem.
You can buy it.
You can buy it,
Right.
or you can start focusing on the AEO and the new ways in which you want to make sure you surface in the search engine, which we will come to. But the other part of this is, why do you need more traffic? The reason you needed more traffic was to work through that conversion funnel properly. You had like drop-offs at each stage. And for you to get 100 leads, you worked backward and looked at how much traffic you needed on the website. So that's the problem I want to challenge is, see, what was happening is a lot of the traffic that was coming to your website earlier was a low intent traffic.
Yes.
Now it's an high intent traffic.
Just to pause there a second. So I have a whole bunch of these de-anonymizer tools on our website.
Yep.
And the depressing thing is, you look at it and you realize, like, why the hell are these people on my website? Oh, I know why. They Googled. We have a piece of content about market segmentation. They're doing a school project. So I've got a high school student on my website who's doing a school project about how the healthcare market is structured. And that's how they've ended up there. It's like, I don't want them on our website.
Yeah, exactly. And the de-anonymization, this again, it's a multi-layer problem where you have to think about, what is the accuracy of that?
Oh, very low. Yeah, I've been very disappointed with that stuff.
Yep. And then they do have accuracy in certain micro segments. It's like if you really tell US in these sizes of accounts, like then the accuracy goes up, but you can't determine who's on your website. So you really need to care about every visitor.
So let's get back to low volume, high intent. Is that right? Yeah.
Yep. Low volume, high intent is the era right now where if somebody has actually searched for you and then came to your website, the intent is historically high. They've already done the research. It's almost like they have gone through the stage 1 of your funnel. And now your website needs to really help them go through stage 2 and stage 3 of the funnel, which is the middle of funnel and bottom of funnel. Right.
So one of the biggest issues that our buyers, the vendors wrestle with is that their buyers that they're trying to reach start a 12 to 18 month buying process with a shortlist. So whatever it happens to be, prioritization solution, I'll make it up. They will start with 5 to 7 different vendors on the shortlist and probably have like 1 or 2 favorites. And then they'll go through a 9-month process of doing research to validate their shortlist and to confirm the bias that they started with. And then they'll get in touch with, after about 9 months of research, they'll get in touch with the buyers on the shortlist that they still want to talk to. And usually the first one they talk to is the one that they've already decided that they're going to go with. Tell us about what you're doing that helps with that.
Yeah, I think the bottleneck or the biggest challenge in the buying process that you highlighted is the 9 months research part, right?
No.
Okay.
The biggest issue is if you're not on that shortlist, you're done.
Yeah,
forget it. Because your odds, I think the stat is something like 75% of buyers, something like that, go with the first buyer they contact after 9 months because they've already decided. And if you weren't on that original shortlist, your odds of getting selected are almost, negligible. So the key thing is, how do you get on the shortlist before they start the process? And is, the 95-5 rule. So there's only 5% at most of companies that you're trying to sell to are in market at any given time. So how do you, for those 5%, that's the low volume, high intent prospects that you're going after, how do you help vendors get on that shortlist?
Absolutely. Can I ask you about a follow-on question here, which is like, how does the shortlist, how do you create a shortlist?
So the way that buyers create a shortlist is they have, let's say it's 2026, they're starting a vendor selection for a prioritization solution. They will have become aware through stuff they've read, through things they've seen at shows, through things that colleagues have told them about, that when it comes to prioritize, or if you're interested in prior auth solutions, this is a company you should know about. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not in the market right now. We might be next year, but good to know about. So it's sort of like a kind of passive pre-research, which is I, as a CIO, need to be knowledgeable. And if one of my peers said, have you heard about, XYZ company, which is the hot up and coming prior auth solution, I don't look like an idiot saying, oh, I've never heard of them.
Yep.
That's sort of how it happens. Then there's also the other thing is incumbents. So, if Epic has a solution, they're going to be on that shortlist, whether they're the top or not, they're going to be on that shortlist.
Absolutely. So if we slice and dice this problem, right? Again, there are multiple channels through which you can create awareness. Let's focus on the digital channel and let's see how Webless can help there in creating the awareness and then simplifying the overall process there onwards. In terms of just the way you surface on a shortlist is when you are actually top of mind for a lot of these buyers. One of the ways in which you can be top of mind is by being present in all the searches that they are doing, by being in front and center of the campaigns that they are receiving. Is that a fair assumption here?
Yeah. I sort of like at that moment where, let's say I'm director in the IT organization and my job is to put together the shortlist to present to the CIO and the board, the group that's forming up.
Absolutely. So let's hone in on that role then. Now, when you're creating the shortlist, one of the important things is when you are asking the questions to, let's assume in this case, the journey that's starting with is the AI search engine, right?
Okay.
They are asking these questions and they are formulating a shortlist.
So they're on ChatGPT saying, okay, my job is to go find us a new prior auth solution. How should I go about doing that? What are the things I should think about? And who should I consider?
Absolutely. So let's start with that problem. Yeah. And they're looking and searching for this on ChatGPT. The very important thing to happen is for your brand to surface in one of those results that are there.
Amen to that, brother. Yeah.
Now, the way in which Webless helps you actually surface in one of the shortlists and get as one of the shortlisted brands there is by helping our customers understand what questions our users really asking. So not on necessarily the AI search engine, but on their own website, which is the sample size of the larger audience that exists in the world. So for example, one of the biggest challenge in writing new content, which is going to ultimately result in surfacing in AI SEO, is not knowing what to write. There's hundreds of things that you can write. How do you really shortlist the content that you want to write? And the answer there is, this is where Webless actually helps you create intent clusters out of the queries that people have run on your website. So now people that are visiting your website are your potential buyers, they're the prospects. When they come on the website and they search on Webless search bar that they see, we capture all the first-party intent data and we build out intent clusters out of it to tell you that your buyers right now are looking for these particular attributes. They are researching these other competitors. They are more careful about pricing. All the important factors that you need to surface have understood from the queries.
A quick break, and this one is directly relevant to what Suyog and I have been talking about. So one of the biggest challenges we hear from health tech marketers right now is how do we get found by the AI engines, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, and all those guys. And this is where your buyers are doing their research. And unlike traditional SEO, you can't just stuff your content for keywords. You have to create content that answers the questions your buyers are asking as effectively as possible. And there's a whole bunch of other things that you need to do to your website to make sure that it's performing in a way that gives you an advantage with the LLMs. And you know what? That's something that we've been helping health tech companies do at Health Launchpad. So what we do is we will work with you to do what's called an AIO audit, which is we'll look at your website and analyze it from both a content and a technical perspective and give you specific recommendations on what you can do to make your website work much better, so in a way that you show up in the LLMs and that you see results fast. And if you'd like to learn more, there's a link down below and you can learn more about the AIO audit. So with that, let's get back to the show. So let me just deconstruct that a bit. So back to the SEO model, it's all about keywords and key phrases. So short terms, right? Yeah, it might be trying to earn prioritization, maybe a sort of different variations on that. The problem in the AI searching world is people aren't putting in keywords, they're putting in 100, 200 word prompts. In fact, the better you get it, the more you understand about how to use these things, you write bloody essays and you download it and you have a conversation with it. And so what you're saying is that with Webless on your website, which is actually what we found, is that it will help you say, oh, okay, these are the questions that they're coming to the website with. And they're much long, these are prompts, not key phrases.
Exactly. Because if I flip this problem on its head, right? And if I say, hey, like, do you know what people are asking on ChatGPT or on Gemini? The answer is no. We don't know what exact queries. It's no longer like a keyword, right? There is semantic similarity between two terms. So it's very hard to know exactly what questions are being asked. Webless provides you that pipeline to get all these questions that are asked on your own website. Now, this is not the entire audience, but this is the exact audience that you're looking to go after.
Yeah.
Or actually exclude. If it's like students, like you mentioned, they're good, they come do research, that's great, but those are not part of your target buyers. And actually knowing what they asked for, classifying that query as, hey, this is a potential high buyer, like a high value prospect, and then writing more content, creating more journeys around that particular prospect is what's going to help you drive visibility in the AI search engines.
And I just want to help people listening to this. So what is Webless? So Webless, is as instrumented. Certainly the instance that we played around with is essentially replacing your search bar or your search field with a generative AI engine. And so the experience is, rather than putting in a couple of words, you actually put in a prompt. And then the output, rather than being a list of links, is a curated experience. It's almost like a little microsite of like, here is an answer, sort of like, it is actually it feels like ChatGPT or Claude answering your question. So it's a long answer that you can use as content. And also the other thing is that it can curate if you're interested in this, here are some articles that are relevant to you. It is a phenomenally great user experience.
Yeah, spot on. Just to then double click into what Webless actually is like you rightly said, it is a search that is built specifically for a content-rich website with your own content guardrails, with your own brand guidelines, with your own voice. And so what's going to happen is, in addition to you helping all the customers and prospects find the information, capture the first-party data, if we just look at the healthcare and healthcare providers and medtech companies, one of the key challenges that they face is a lot of the content can get outdated over years. And Webless also helps you identify the content that might be outdated.
Right.
So you keep your website fresh with the newest content, help visitors find what they need, and collect all the first-party information that people are searching for. So it almost generates this loop that feeds into the AI SEO engine. With more queries that are being run on your website starts to become a better destination and a source for the AI SEO.
This helps me because something that I've been looking for a way to articulate is, so this is great, but the question that we hear so many companies answer is how do we get found by the generative AI engines? And so what you're doing is basically sort of providing your customers with data and with insights that help them create content that gets found. There are a zillion different tools out there to sort of tell you how you rank. That's the wrong term, but equivalent of like SEMrush in terms of how you're actually performing from websites performing from a generative AI engine. But what you're doing is actually providing them with information to help guide the content process.
That's spot on, right? Like there is like the content strategy problem associated with AI SEO, and then there is the measurement problem associated with it.
And you're not involved in the measurement.
We are not involved in the measurement. We are more involved in helping you strategize what type of content you need to write based on the market demand that you are seeing.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And one of the things that I've found is that we've spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to optimize content to get found and get cited. And one of the things that's impressive is if you hit it right, you show up and get cited really quickly. Much faster than an SEO. And we're actually seeing, we saw the dip, right? We saw a big tail off last year and started in 24, and it's a big tail off in traffic. But found that, so wait a second, we are getting some traffic from ChatGPT and Perplexity and Grok. And I was like, how are we doing that? And then I realized it was because it was written in a way that those engines liked it. So we've gone all in on that, and it's working. I think we've got traffic back to where it was. So flat is the new up in terms of volume. But I think that, you're back to your original premise, which is low volume, high intent. I would say that while the volume of traffic has declined, the number of inbound opportunities that we've got, if anything, has increased.
There you go.
Yeah. And I don't know, I can't say, well, it's all ChatGPT, but it's certainly not hurting.
Yeah. This is the pattern we are also observing, which is opportunities are going up, even though the traffic has gone down. And so that's where the whole reverse calculation of high intent visitors comes in.
All right. So Suyog, it's such a great conversation. I've wanted to have this for a while, and I'm so glad to have you on. But before we go though, where can people find out about you and what can they do about it? Because I think a lot of people listening to this is going to be, I want to check this out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you go to webless.ai, you can actually test out our product because we are live on our own website. But webless.ai is where you will find more information, recommend you using our search bar to search more, and then happy to set up a demo. There's a way to set up a demo directly through the Webless experience there. So looking forward to all the conversations with the listeners here.
And there's going to be a link down in the show notes to your LinkedIn so that we can make sure people can find you. And also, if you want to see it in action, go to healthlaunchpad.com because you can see it in action and you can see how we've implemented it. And we love it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being a customer. And it's wonderful to talk to you, Adam. Take care.
I think what Suyog said is genuinely eye-opening. And there are 4 things that I've really taken away from today. So let's go through them. Number 1, low traffic, high intent is the era we're moving into. What we're seeing is that declining website traffic isn't actually a failure. It's a structural shift. Buyers are doing their research on AI engines before they ever hit your site. So the visitors who are showing up now have already done their homework. They're not browsing, they're deciding. Number 2, getting on the shortlist is the real game. Around 75% of buyers go with the first vendor they contact, and that's after doing 9+ months of independent research. And if you're not on the initial shortlist, your odds are close to 0 of getting the deal. The battle is won well before the sales process starts. Number 3, your website needs to serve stage 2 and 3, not stage 1. So AI engines have taken over top of funnel awareness, or at least they're in the process of doing that. So when somebody lands on your website, they're already past research. Your site needs to give them the fastest possible path to a decision, not more content to wade through, but something that helps them validate why they should choose you. Number 4, first-party intent data is your AEO advantage. You can't see what people type into ChatGPT, but you can see what they search on your own site. And those queries are prompts, not keywords. And they tell you exactly what content to create to get cited by AI engines. And that's the loop Webless is building. And that's the thing that we're actually using Webless for. So if you want to find out more about Webless AI, head to webless.ai, and there's a link down below, and try their own search bar whilst you're there, and you'll get an idea immediately. And by the way, again, if you want to see it in action, go to healthlaunchpad.com and check out the search bar. You'll see exactly what I mean. And if you want to talk about building an AEO strategy for your health tech company, come find us at healthlaunchpad.com. There's a link down below. If you found this episode useful, please share it with a colleague in health tech marketing. Leave us a review and don't forget to subscribe on whatever application you're using. Until next time, I'm Adam Chirinas, and this has been the Health Tech Marketing Show.